question. What is your plan for addressing deficit and debt while keeping taxes low and not to allow economic growth?
Well, the first thing would be a balanced budget amendment, much like the healthcare bill that needs to be repealed. We need to get control of our government, our ever-increasing size of government and their spending habits. The one way to get started immediately is a balanced budget amendment, which will start to put our house in order. I very strongly believe in the fair tax assignment. The fair tax issue clear back in early October. The fair tax is nothing more than a consumption tax, but it is a way to start getting our house in order once again also. We need to realize today 41 cents of every dollar is borrowed. That's a staggering statistic. 41 cents of every dollar government spends is borrowed money that you and I are going to get to repay at some point, but more likely my grandchildren. I strongly believe in the Bush tax cuts. They should be continued. They worked well once. They can continue to work well for us if we'll hang in there and continue that particular road. It's worked and it's worked well. Another thing that's very concerning to me in the 4th District is estate taxes. The agricultural people, the farmer of that district, their 401k is not in stocks and bonds, it's in land, it's in acreage, it's in circles. They cannot pass on their family farms to the younger children because they have no way to do that because they have to sell the land to pay the estate taxes. So we need to start looking at the estate taxes and the burden that puts on our family and our family unit and the success of our families, once again, that do create jobs in the 4th District. And let me leave you with one thought. And it's a very obvious thought. Larger and larger government, federal government, has never and will never create jobs for you and I in the 4th District or any place else in this country. Thank you.
Mike Pompeo, you get the question last. What is your plan for addressing deficit and debt while keeping taxes low enough to allow for economic growth?
You know, I didn't hear very many specifics. It's got to be frustrating to hear folks come up and talk about, hey, we're going to reduce spending without saying, hey, here's what I'm going to do. Here's the plan. Here's how I'm really going to do it. It is easy to talk about reducing spending, and for goodness, 40 years we've had elected officials say that, but no one really identified how they were going to do it. How do you solve the problem? There's 2 ways. First, you grow an economy. That's how you get out from a deficit. You create a tax base that's broader and larger. And the second, you reduce spending. Let me give you some ideas of things I'd go fight for really hard to do that. I'd start with getting rid of wasteful earmarks. I've said that from the beginning. But frankly, you could get rid of all the earmarks in the last 30 years and you wouldn't impact the budget deficit by a whole hill of beans. The fight is over entitlements. We've got to go fix it. We've got to be serious about it. We just passed the largest one in the history of civilization with healthcare, so you start with repealing, and then you go attack the ones that were there before that. You start with Social Security. Republicans actually have presented a plan. It's in great detail, and I've supported a plan that's been put forward by a congressman from Wisconsin, which says if you're 55 years or older, no impact, but if you're my age, 46 years old, you're going to get a little less than the current promise. I think you're going to get a little more than reality, but a little less than the false promise that sits there today. And there's a way to go do that. Medicare looms large. In the current Obama plan, 25% of all Kansans will be on Medicaid in 36 months. The state has no idea how they're going to pay for that. So you have to go create competition in our healthcare system. Let's take a look at the Department of Education. No one can explain to me why we send a federal dollar to Washington, D.C., send 64 cents back, and then tell people in Kansas how to run their school systems. It's incomprehensible. These are places we can begin. There's lots of other things to talk about. But finally, we've got to create a system where people will invest in America. That means lowering capital gains tax rates by at least 50%, dividends tax rates as well, and creating incentive for capital to come to Kansas.
All right, the next